Hello, Internet. My name is Monster Punter, and this is the Parallax Scrolling Podcast, bringing you the news and events as we perceive them. You'll notice today that I don't have Matt finish with me today because he's having some personal things in his life going on. I've decided to still produce a podcast and put it out to you all because there's a few situations that I think really do need to be addressed, and I think some of the ways that they're being addressed in the mainstream press need more clarification, better sourcing, things to be explained better. But before we get to that, what I want to talk about is the fact that Starfield came out early for those that bought the special edition. Now, why I want to attack this is because Microsoft would tell you that if you subscribe to Game Pass, you get games day and date. But they call this the early access if you pay. So they're trying to sell you an early access period and then say that the game actually releases a week later. Therefore, we could still claim day and date on our game. And I'm here to tell you that that's complete BS. It's BS because the game released when they when it was ready, and it released when it went to early access. In my opinion, Microsoft and Game Pass are breaking their promise of day and date. If it's day and date, there should be no early access period. It should just be released. So while I did not pay for it, I will be trying Starfield, but I have to wait because I didn't buy the special edition. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I've not really played Bethesda games a whole lot, and the ones that I have were really old and not ones that I particularly liked, like Morrowind on the original Xbox. So I don't think it was worth me paying the extra money to get access to it early. So when they tell you that it's day and date, if Microsoft continues this trend where you have to pay before Game Pass people get to play it, and you pay and you get early access, in my opinion, they better not say day and date anymore in their advertising for Game Pass, because that's just not true. Speaking of early access in general, I think in general, if you're going to put a game out for quote-unquote early access or quote-unquote beta period, you have officially released that game. There's tons of free-to-play games that come out nowadays where they say, we're doing a beta. This is the beta period. And people give them a pass on things. It's just not right. If your game is good enough to put out for beta and good enough for you to start collecting money on, then that game is released. It's not a beta anymore. If your game is out for early access on Steam and you're able to play it and you have to pay money to access the early access, your game has released. In my opinion, there's no... you do not get a pass from me. I hate that this is something that people are running to, as far as interference is concerned, for people who pay games. It's another way that we as gamers are starting to miss out. When you bought a game and it came out on cartridge, or it came out on a disc up through PS2, Xbox One, not even all the way through Xbox One period, I guess, but still, you got the whole game. The game was finished. It had to be play tested, beta tested, and everything before it was released. And so, yes, there were definitely buggy games, and there was no way to fix them once released. That was a death sentence for a game. Now, you could say it's good that games nowadays, because they are able to be updated and patched, you can save some of those games. And yeah, I guess so. But they should be panned for what's really happening there. But plenty of games had the tender love and care that were needed to release proper. And you had to do that before the age of the internet. And I kind of long for those days a little bit again, where I could buy a game and it was complete and I didn't have to do anything else. Not to mention the fact that it lacked microtransactions and all that kind of stuff that goes with it, battle passes, all that stuff. I tire of the live service industry in general. Live service games are very risky, and hardly ever pay off. So if it's early access, if it's beta, your game is released, and I will treat it as such when I talk about it. You don't get a pass from me. So, again, what Microsoft is doing, I don't agree with. Sony, at least Sony in this instance, tells you, up front, we're not going to release our AAA first-party games to the platform for a while. So at least as far as that's concerned, I can at least appreciate that they're upfront with you. So when you buy something, you at least know what you're getting as far as that's concerned. But on to the main event. The big thing making a stink around the video game industry this week is the fact that Sony has raised the price of PlayStation Plus in the wake of the fact that Microsoft was restructuring and upping the price of Game Pass. Now, I think Sony's trying to take advantage of the fact that Microsoft did this so that they can do it too without looking like the bad guy, but in doing so, they look like more of the bad guy. Everybody I see out there talking about this is pointing to the bad games of September that are supposedly out, and not saying crazy things that they think it's a terrible deal, when maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm going to look at it right now and kind of come to a conclusion myself. So I subscribe to PlayStation Plus Essential. I'm not one to pay for the extra premium. I don't want that extra service when I'm already paying for Game Pass. Maybe I'll switch at some other point. These price increases don't certainly help. So Sony is increasing the price of Essential from $59.99 to $79.99. This represents a 40% increase in the price, which is absolutely nuts, considering it's the same as it was before. A 40% price increase is something that's very, very hard to swallow. It amounts to less than $2 a month increase, but still, when you're used to getting charged $5 a month, now you're getting charged nearly $7. That's a big deal. It's a lot more. Extra is going from $99.99 to $134.99, which is a 35% increase. Also crazy, just all at once. And that is not even worse than the premium. It went from $119 to $159, which is a 36% increase. These are really steep increases for a 1-year period, considering that this service, the extra and the premium, came out recently. It's amazing to me that they're going to charge this kind of price when the service is this young still. It speaks to just the money-grubbing nature of the situation, and I just don't like it. I will still be subscribed to Essential, at least for now. My subscription at least runs until like May of next year. We'll see what I think of when I get to that point. I'll also ask Matt on the next podcast, and we'll see what he has to say about that. I think it's terrible for gamers. It'll push people away from the Sony platform. And like I said, it's in the wake of what Microsoft did, and it's also in the wake of a lot of other increases that Sony has done recently. Now, I live in the United States, and the PlayStation 5 has stayed $500, essentially retail. There's been some specials, but essentially $500. But worldwide, it went to $550. New games this generation pushed by Sony up to $70. The controllers and other accessories like that, up $5 to $10. You know, when Microsoft raised the price of a game from $50 to $60 with the Xbox 360 generation, they were throttled in the media and lambasted, rightfully so. That was a pretty stark increase. But another $10, especially in the wake of all these other things, I've talked about this before, but microtransactions and everything else that they do, it's just not justified in my opinion. So I think the leadership under Jim Ryan at Sony looks an awful lot like Don Matrick under Microsoft. Lots of bad decisions against the gamers. There's something in business where if you take care of your customers, they will take care of you. And I think Sony is really starting to let that go. They're taking their first position in the high-end console gaming market, quote unquote, and it's getting to their head. And this is not the first time that the number one company has let something like this go to their head. Nintendo did it in the 80s with the Nintendo, where if you made games for the Nintendo, you could only make 3 a year, and you couldn't make anything for any other system. Just give you an idea of the craziness that has been in the past before. I just think it's terrible and bad and just not very good. Now, having said that, I think it is good to put this in perspective. If you're buying a subscription, let's just take Essential. I'll use Essential as the benchmark here, because you've had this thing for a whole year. You buy it for a whole year. You buy it for $80. What are you getting? You're getting 3 games a month. You're getting online play, which to a lot of people think it should be free. I think it should be free too. And you get like exclusive discounts, which the argument is, why should I have to sign up for something to get discounts? I agree with that too. There's a lot that's bad here, but what's not bad, in my opinion, is the free games that you get. And so I decided to take a look through all the games that we've gotten over the past year under the PlayStation Plus Essentials. Going back to September 2022, we got Need for Speed Heat, which, from my understanding, is a pretty good game. You know, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, that's a good fighting game too. And Toem. October, Hot Wheels Unleashed, Injustice 2, Super Hot, 3 more quality games. Hot Wheels Unleashed scored really, really high. November, Neo 2, Harry Potter Collection for Legos, and Heavenly Bodies. Heavenly Bodies is really weird. I definitely didn't play it, and I don't play the Lego games, but Neo 2, quality game. December got Divine Knockout, which is a knockoff of Smash Brothers, but, you know, free is free. The Mass Effect Legendary Edition, 3 games in that, quality games. The Mass Effect games, really good. And Biomutant. Now, I'm not a big fan of Biomutant, but there it has its following. January, Jedi Fallen Order, Fallout 76, Axiom Verge. Granted, I'm not a Star Wars fan whatsoever, but people seem to like Fallen Order. Axiom Verge is supposed to be a really good Metroidvania, and Fallout 76, I guess, has gotten better after a terrible launch. In February, we got Mafia Definitive Edition, Ollie Ollie World, which is supposed to be an awesome skateboarding game, an Evil Dead game, and a Destiny 2 expansion. In March, we got Battlefield 1942. Now I hear that game's terrible, but Minecraft Dungeons and Code Vein. If you like Soulsborne games, Code Vein is an anime Soulsborne. Check it out. Played it myself. It's really good. I should go back and beat it though. In April, we got Sackboy, A Big Adventure, Meet Your Maker, and Trials of Iron, which I haven't played any of those, so I can't really comment personally on it, but Sackboy's a big franchise, right? Little Big Planet. Trials of Iron is supposed to be good. In May, we got Grid Legends, which, okay, alright, I'm not going to defend that one. Chivalry 2, though, I like Chivalry 2. I played it on Xbox because it was on Game Pass and on the PC. You know what? As far as like a simulation, like medieval fighter or something like that is concerned, really good. Highly recommended. Definitely play it. Definitely play it with friends. In June, we got NBA 2K23. Now, granted, that's like the end of the NBA season. You're finally getting the NBA game. But, I think after, I don't know, the whole rest of the year, minus a couple racing games, there's no sports here. I think they needed to put in some sports games. Jurassic World Evolution 2 and Trek to Yomi. Now, Matt seemed to like Trek to Yomi for the most part. I never played Jurassic World Evolution 2. I can't really speak to that. In July, they got Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which, it's a Call of Duty game. Come on. People like Call of Duty. Now you're getting it for free. Granted, coming out later, but hey, you're still getting it. Alan Wake Remastered. And in the face of the fact that the new Alan Wake game is coming out, I think that's pretty huge. And Endling, which I don't have an opinion on. In August, we got PGA Tour 2K23, Death's Door, and Dreams. I think, 2 months or so close for a sports game is a little bit much for me. But Death's Door didn't really tickle my fancy. It wasn't something I wanted to play. And Dreams, I find it really interesting they put Dreams on here, considering they're going to be shutting it down before too long. But as far as like a game where you can go in and make and do things, Dreams is supposed to be amazing and lots of unique experiences made in that. So I think for anybody who likes that, you should check it out. And then there's this month's games, which include Saints Row, which everybody's trashing. And then a couple other games I can't recall off the top of my head here. So they're saying September is not really good for this year. But when you see people talk about this online, they don't talk about all these other games that have come out over the year. 36 plus games. I just went over all of them really quick here. If you think $80 those are worth that much, okay. But some of these are old when they come out, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. I think it'd be nice to see some newer games on there as they come out if they want to be competitive with Microsoft. But still, overall, there's some quality games in there that I think makes it, unfortunately, at $80, still kind of worth it in my opinion. So, at least for now, I'm going to still do it. But let's say you don't. Let's say this is it. I'm not doing this at all anymore. You're going to give Sony the proverbial boot and move on. So, what's the answer, right? What do you do? A lot of people out there saying, buy a PC. And you know what? For some people, maybe that is the answer. If you got the disposable income, don't want to pay for Sony's price increase, and want to just, play games, maybe that is the answer. If you throw enough money at the problem, maybe it'll go away. And it can. I just have two things I do want to bring up, though. For some people, it's definitely not a good answer because the console and PC gaming space is definitely two different ones. You can see this in the fact that Microsoft puts all their games on PC in addition to console, and then Sony followed suit. There's tons of people who have a PC, don't have a console, and they want to be able to sell games to those people. And I think that's fine. So when these price increases hit, telling people to go buy a PC may not be the answer. Why? Because people who buy a console may not be technically savvy enough to have a PC. They just want, their phone works, so they just use their phone. And, they want like a really simple experience where I buy a game that is for my PlayStation, I put it in my system, or I download it and just play it, and I know it works. And it's hooked up to my TV. So I think it's a much more casual gamer base with PC, and those people are being taken advantage of right now, in my opinion. Ease of use. What can you say? You pay for it sometimes. So, what do you do if that's not the answer? I mean, what if you're stuck playing console and you don't have any alternatives? Well, I guess you could just not pay for it, not play online, or, get reacquainted with some single player games. I do want to note that tangential to my research for all this, I saw some listings for what a PC gamer basically is or not, or what the demographics for them are. And 90% of PC gamers own a gaming PC, which I suppose that makes sense, right? And, half of PC gamers are millennials, so that's really interesting to me. And, like 90% of the people who own a PC don't game on console, so it's only like a 10%, people who cross. I'm one of those people. Matt is one of those people. I know plenty of people who don't, though. So, just some kind of funny facts about that. But getting back to the whole point, I want to end with some evidence to support the fact that I think that everything Sony's doing is simply not needed, based on their own financial reports, which you can go and look at their financial reports on their website. Just download them and take a look at them. You don't even need to have an accounting degree to kind of understand what's going on here. On their okay, I'm going to talk about their Q4 one here second, but in their, or Q1, I'm sorry, Q4, which is their yearly report, go to page 8 here, and year on year, they call it the G&S segment, the Games and Network Services segment, page 8. Sales were up 33%. Up 33%. Crazy. Their operating income, they're saying, is down though. But keep in mind that Sony, as well as Microsoft, but Sony has been acquiring companies. When you acquire companies, that does go against your bottom line and can decrease your income. So while they're showing a decrease in their operating income, future years will benefit from these purchases. So I think it's crazy that they're doing these increases in the light of the fact that they're doing better than they ever have before. Better than they ever have before. So what's the justification? Maybe they're just grabbing it because they can. Going here to Q1, a 28% increase in sales. And they say a 7% decrease in operating income. Interestingly enough, they do note that a lot of this has to do with the acquisition from Bungie. So, how do I put it? If you take out the acquisition of Bungie, Sony is doing amazing. They're doing gangbusters. They're doing awesome. And now they're raising their price. And so that's why I say Sony's looking a lot like Microsoft circa 2013. I just hope that it doesn't take too long for Sony to become more like Microsoft circa 2017, where they put out something like Game Pass, do something innovative, and push more games to be cross-play, start to become more, gamer-focused. But it's not like Microsoft's done all the best stuff, but they're definitely not more gamer-focused than Sony right now. But that's all for me. I don't think I have anything else to say on that. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Thank you so much for listening, and you take care.